I am originally from Cuba. Cuba. I'm living in Miami, Florida now. I am retired. I am 67 years old. I've been involved in the study of anomalous phenomena, especially in connection to UFOs, humanoids, for a long time now. Uh, Ever since I was a child, I was interested in the subject. For some reason, I was attracted to it. I don't know why. Because back when I was young, I didn't know why was I attracted to strange stuff, which I didn't know what to name it because there was no people didn't speak about UFOs and stuff like that. But then as I grow older, I started collecting books on UFOs and mostly the books here available in the West. I mean, back then there was no information coming from Russia and the Eastern because mostly because of language problem. And eventually, I after I retire, I've been working on a database of cases encounters, which I now have over 30,000 cases worldwide of many different incidents, encounters, apparitions of humanoids, because that's my main encounter with humanoids. Right now, I don't have any of my books available here with me, but I have them online that I think I sent you. But I have published I think about 15 books or 16 books, and it's about a chronological detailing of incidents starting back in the beginning of history, recorded history, the history that we were taught to us to present. I have cases all the way up to this year. I plan to stop collecting cases at the end of this year because it's just too much. I know I will never finish. It's just too much information. And I put the cases in a yearly basis, example 1975, 1976, 1980, 1989, and 1990 for Russia because there were so many cases from coming from there. I don't know why. I don't know if it was maybe more information started coming out. The task report on the Boroness landing all the way to up to 1993, there was an incredible amount of cases coming out from Russia, incidents. I mean, and I'm talking about the whole of Russia, you know, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, all the different provinces, uh, just incredible amount. And I received some help from several researchers that spoke Russian, and I was able to translate a lot of these cases, and I put them. Many of these cases are in my books, are in my database, and many of these cases were never heard here in the West because of like I said, language problems, and the books were not readily available. Russian books here in the West, but now a lot of people have become aware of all the incidents that occurred in Russia back in the 89, early 90s. They're still going on right now, but not as much as it happened back in 89 and 1990. I um I have several experiences myself growing up in Cuba. I left there when I was only 7, but I remember an incident which it happened in the early 60s. I was young, maybe 5 or 6 or 7. I don't remember. But I was outside with my family and my neighbors. They were all drinking coffee. There was no electricity that day. So we sat there outside that night to drink coffee and play dominoes. And across the street, something flew over the roof of a house. It looked, I mean, everybody looked, and it looked like an object with lights shaped like maybe an egg or something. Of course, back then the political situation that everybody thought it was the Americans because they said the Americans are invading, and everybody looked and they go, "That doesn't look like a helicopter or an airplane," but who knows? They ignored it. They kept playing, but it was so low that I followed the object. I walked under it, and it went behind into a field behind my house, and I stood there looking at it for a while, and next thing I know, it's not there anymore. And my mother's looking for me. Oh, Abby, they used to call me Abby. Where are you? ¿Dónde estabas? ¿Dónde estabas? And I go, I was here. Oh, una hora pasada. Where were you? 1 hour. So I have never uh delved into that, see what really happened. I never done any hypnotic regression, but what that's one of the things that happened to me when I don't know if I send you my file on that, but I also had several other incidents. One time as a young child, I got up to the bathroom in the middle of the night, coming back. There was a mirror in the hallway, and I looked at the mirror, and there was somebody's face in the mirror looking down at me. And I looked up, and okay, how could this be? It was a man with beard, black beard, and he looked like he was wearing a helmet. And the helmet that I could only associate with is the helmets that the Spanish conquistadors used to wear when they came over to the Americas and supposedly discovered the Americas. Well, that's the kind of helmet. And he was grinning, laughing at me. I was frightened. I ran to my parents, and of course, they didn't believe me. They never believe you when you're a child. And I have many other experiences, but my books are available in Amazon, like I said, and I have a lot of I have them all in PDF file, and I'm willing to share them too because I'm not doing it really for the money. I'm doing it to spread the information, to put the information out there, so people know what's really going on around them. To be more vigilant of what's going on around them, and to understand that there's more to life than just us here. There's more more stuff out there that we have to account for. Uh, and that's why like I said, every day I'm working on my files, entering new cases, translating books like Spanish books. I have some French books, Italian books, and I even have a couple of Romanian books. And just I never stop, and I come to realize that I will never gonna finish. So maybe when I'm gone, somebody else will pick up the baton. And and just I feel privileged that you guys invited me to talk about this. I appreciate it. Mm. I worked for the police department for 35 years. I was mostly involved in the emergency. When over here we call 911 an emergency number to call, and people will call 911 the emergency number for different situations. Of course, back then everybody knew that I was involved in that, and I try to keep it to myself because there was a lot of people who make fun, and I was called up to the captain, and they told me, if you're interviewed and you about this UFOs and stuff, don't say that you work for us. They didn't like it. They didn't. Now the situation has changed now, but I remember one call. This is back in '89, coincidentally. It's a security guard. It was guarding in the middle of the night a parking lot, a shopping center, and he called 911 from a payphone. Back then, there were no cell phones. I mean, available to the public. And he said that he was patrolling, and he turned a corner, and he came upon three strange things. And they go, "What do you mean things? Well, where they go?" Like, he says that there were three tall entities or humanoids, thin with a big head, long arms, and he said they have big cat-like eyes. The police took him seriously, so we sent a police over there immediately to check the area. Back then, there was a wooded area across from the shopping center. They checked around. Of course, they didn't find anything, but they believed them. They took a report, and they wrote a report. I used to have a copy of that report, I don't know what I ever did with them. I'm very disorganized right now, but uh, they wrote a report and they're I knew many police officers and sergeants that had their own experiences, but they never talked about it. They only talked about it to me because they knew I was involved in that. There was this sergeant that he worked in undercover narcotics, and back in the early 80s he was in a stakeout in the Everglades. I don't know if you heard of the Everglades in Florida. There and it's a big swamp. Okay, nothing there, trees and crocodile, alligators. Anyway, he was there with a couple others, and they were waiting for somebody, some kind of drop or something. I don't know, not too sure. But all of a sudden, when they looked up, the stars kind of blacked out in something that looked like a big echelon thing, like a boomerang. It was dark, and it was an object that was humongous, flying over the Everglades, and it was covering the stars. It was so big, and they just stood there, didn't know what to do or what to say, and it just flew above them and then disappeared. But they said it was humongous. It was huge, and it was black in color. They didn't see any lights on it. And many other, I have another guy that told me uh, that he went to investigate an encounter in down here in South Florida, also at a marina that was very isolated, a place called Black Point Marina, in which there was a couple parked there in their car, and all of a sudden they heard screaming, and they looked. There was a car near them that was going up and down, and there was a guy inside the car screaming. And they looked closer, and behind the guy's car there was a big, tall, hairy, like a Bigfoot type creature, like an Alma, pushing down on the car. The guy was screaming. So they drove out of there. The police went, the sergeant told me, and they searched around. The guy had left, and they never found out who he was. But they wrote a report. They also wrote a report, and there's a copy of that report in one of the books. And yeah, there's many other incidents that happen to people, but they never speak about it. And I want all those incidents that remain hidden to come out to the public. You know what I mean? So everybody know what's really going on, because I I think that 80% of the encounters are never reported. Maybe at the end of the people, the deathbed confession, yeah, when I was, but they're not reported. They're fear ridicule, fear of being, you know, laughed at. Many different factors. They were afraid that it might affect their career. Many of them were afraid that, because like me, they called me out to the office. I said, "Do not speak about this. If do not say you work for the police department." So I experienced it. I was told not to. So they're afraid of their career. They're being fired or ignored, and yeah, that's a lot of the problem there. In my database, I found out that I think up there, the number one state would be California for some reason. California, then we have all the Pennsylvania, Florida, certain states. For some reason, the bigger states are more isolated. There are not too many cases from there, because I guess because there are not that many people living there. Uh, but the more populous states, California, Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, that's where a lot of cases. And I'm not talking cases in country, little farms. I mean, I'm talking about suburban cities, big cities, New York, Brooklyn, Los Angeles, Miami. I do not know that because I don't no longer work for the police department, but I'm sure they get reports, and I don't know how they handle them now. I uh I don't have any connection there now. I have friends there, but none that are interested in that. But the police has always received those kind of calls all over the United States, maybe all over the world. People call the police because they don't know what they're seeing, or they want help because they see something they don't understand, or who are they going to call? They're going to call the police or the militia, or whoever involved there. before 1899, there were cases in Russia a lot, and there were investigators. There were people like Felix Siegel, a very famous Russian UFO investigator, and they wrote books, but they were not, they were mostly their own private. The cases in Russia. At first, I started getting information from a couple of researchers that we did a bargain. I will send them books, and they will send me cases. They will translate cases for me, and these cases, they were not made up. They were real cases because I will find them later when I Google, when there's more access into cases into Russia. I will Google. I will go into Russian sites, and I will translate them myself using Google Translate, which is not that hard, the Russian, for some reason. Uh, and I could cross-reference a lot of these cases, and there were many investigators, and then there were some that I will find some cases, and they were in Russian, and I will find people that I had a cousin that spoke Russian. He's no longer with us, but and then I have other friends that speak Russian. They will help me translate the cases. Uh, Russia, the one of the areas, many places, the Moscow region, Samara, uh, uh,
Sochi.
what what
Sochi.
Sochi, yes, Sochi, Astrakhan. eh, What's the other place that was really Rostov on Don, and a lot of places in Ukraine. Ukraine, it was incredible. Kazakhstan, the Baltic countries, also Estonia, especially, and all over what was the USSR. Yeah, I was the only one with a police. There was two only with a police, me and another friend of mine, and there were some other people that belonged to a group, local group, MUFON here in Miami, and we will get together, and sometimes we will get calls to the police, and I will get the information, and then ourselves, not the police, will go investigate. There was a case. There was a woman driving back. This is '93, I believe, with her son near the beach area, and there was a UFO with the trees, and they had some missing time, and it turned out that she was possibly abducted. That's one of the cases we investigated. We used to get together like every 2 weeks in houses and watch movies and presentations and talk about cases. The investigator from Spain, very famous one, Benitez, J. Benitez, he came to visit one of our meetings, and I met him there in person. But after that, we had a lot of changes. A lot of people quit, other people's left. Some of them died. Uh, there's another guy that wrote a book, a huge book. I wonder if I have it here, about his own experiences in Miami. But there's been a lot of cases here in the area in South Florida and Florida. If you're able to take a photo, yeah, that would be good. Many instances when people try to take photos, the phone don't work for some reason. There's some kind of interference, and that's why there's not too many photos that clear. But yeah, try to take a photo after the incident. Draw the incident, what you saw, the humanoid or the object for sure. Either contact somebody that you know that's a member of a group that studies UFOs, like MUFON, Newfort. There's several groups here. And another thing that if there's an object in the sky, try to get the color, shape, location, where it's going. If it's too close to you and you see humanoids, my advice is not to approach, because it sometimes could be dangerous. I know cases of people they run to and something's happened to them. They they hit something in an invisible wall, and then they have problems after that, physical problems. Some people have even died because of close encounters. But I you have my email address, and I'll be glad to get, if anybody experiences something, send me the information. If it's in Russian, fine, I could translate it. I mean, if it's English, even better. Spanish, great, because I read Spanish. I could read Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, a little French. Uh, some other languages, a little German too, but if it's another language, I could translate it. So yeah, I'll be willing to and that case will come to light because I have a Facebook group called UFOs and humanoids, UFOs, and other encounters, which is over 5,000 members there already from all over the world. And we expose the cases there from all over the world. And you're always welcome to join the group, and then you talk about your experience or just let us know what happened. Yeah. I have gotten some videos which include some orbs, videos of orbs, videos of something flying by, some other pictures of which I have them, and I mean, there's so many. Most of the images that I have are from books and people that send me drawings. If you ever involved in an incident like this, you encounter a UFO or a humanoid or something strange that you cannot explain, don't keep it to yourself. Tell others. Do not be afraid of ridicule anymore, because right now I think the ridicule factor has been almost eliminated. I mean, there's still people out there, but you know, put the information out there. Let people know, and because sooner or later there's going to be a change, and we're going to know why this is happening. It's been happening for thousands of years. I don't know what's going to happen soon. I hope. I don't know. I hope the world finally understands that our place in the universe. But don't keep it to yourself. Share with others, and contact researchers, and let them know what you see or what you experience. I think there's been a lot of reverse engineering, because I believe there was UFO crashes in Russia, in the U.S., and several other countries. And some of that material was recovered, and some of that technology was used to build some of the aircraft that you see out there that people don't, or some of the new aircraft, stealth, other type of aircraft. And yeah, some of it could be man-made, maybe even uh, a combination man-made and alien crew. Who knows? I heard cases like that.